A very good afternoon to Dr. Asong and everyone. Today, me, Susie, and my group members, Michelle and Chaima, will be presenting about the comparison of Chinese and Western culture in terms of ritual practices. Before we start, I would like to explain what culture is. Culture describes the way of living of a particular social group, which involves the transference of either material or non-material product from one generation to the next through various forms, such as verbal, written, and symbolic. In this poster, two cultures will be compared, which are Chinese culture and Western culture. As we all know that Chinese culture is the oldest culture in the world, which exists 1,000 years ago and is rooted in China. Chinese culture is now the dominant culture in Southeast countries such as Singapore, Vietnam, and Japan. While Western culture is rooted in Greece and is the dominant culture in European countries, for example, US, UK, New Zealand, and Australia. On the other hand, ritual practices refers to the ceremony or action performed by a group of people in accordance to a set rules in a systematic manner. And here, we focus on three ritual practices, which are wedding ritual, death ritual, and worship rituals.
First and foremost, we'll be talking about the wedding customs between Chinese culture and Western culture. In Chinese culture, they use gold and red as the main color throughout the wedding, like from the decoration all the way to their dresses. And they use red because it symbolizes love, happiness, prosperity, fertility, as well as fortune. While gold can show how wealthy the family is and is kind of symbolize that they want the couple to have a wealthy life in the future. And so it's often given as gift by their family members, like around them, or even friends. If you are very generous, you will also give the newlyweds gold as gift. While white are often avoided as it is associated with funerals, and Chinese tend to have this belief where death has a bad omen that might actually make the couple might have early death or what. So they will try to avoid white color. And for pre-wedding custom, Chinese will have this ceremony called tea ceremony, where the bride and groom are required to kneel down in front of the older family members, starting from the groom sides of the family and followed by the bride side's family. And they need to pass them a cup of tea as a form of gratitude and respect for thanking the family for taking care of them for all these years, as well as the older family members. What they will do is they will give ang pao to the newlyweds as a token of symbolism of showing their blessings towards the newlyweds and accepting the other family as being one family from that day onwards. And most wedding ceremonies for Chinese culture are held with round tables and round tables of 10 and served with 8 to 10 different courses. And they use round tables because it symbolizes unity and 10 symbolize like perfection. And why 8 to 10 different courses is because different number is actually symbolize a different meaning. It it means like fa, means it will symbolize wealth for the newlywed. And if it's 9, it means 长长久久. It means like longevity for the marriage to go on. And 10, it means perfection. And during this whole wedding customs, ang paos are often given as a token of blessings to the newlyweds. And at the same time, the newlyweds will also give ang pao to the younger generations. So it's kind of like the older ones give the younger ones ang paos, and it's just a good fortune to give people ang pao and show their blessings towards others. As for Western culture, they uses white as it symbolizes purity and innocence in the whole marriage. And their wedding ceremony are often have with like catering food at long tables or round tables. It's up to them. They will have round tables also. And for some wedding, they don't even serve food. They just simply hold a simple wedding ceremony with the vows recital, and they just go with the flow. And after that, they all just chat. If they want to go out and eat together with the bride and groom, they will just go. But it's not a compulsory for them. But for as for Chinese culture, holding a wedding ceremony, wedding banquet they call it. The wedding banquet is a must because it shows that you want to share your happiness to other people around you. You want to share your happiness to family and friends, and even to some people that you don't even know, because your parents will want to share this happiness of theirs, that their children is getting married to other people. So they don't even uh, they don't even get to choose who to come to the wedding, because the parents will invite their own friends that the bride and groom might not even know who are they. So for the Western culture, they don't really have this. It's like they will just most of the time who to invite are often planned by the couples. And before that also, they will before the wedding itself, they will also have a bachelor and bachelorette party to celebrate the one last time the bride and grooms are being single. And this is something that Chinese culture doesn't have. So what are the similarities between the Chinese culture and the Western culture? The similarity is that both have pre-wedding photo shoot as well as like wedding planning. We basic wedding planning, such as like choosing where is the location, choosing who to invite, and as well as like choosing the dresses. Those are basic wedding planning. Both have it. They also have wedding invitation cards as a token of invitation for other people to come and witness the marriage. And another similarity for both culture is that dowries are given uh, based upon what the family requirements are. Vows are also recited in front of everyone. And the most important thing is, in recent years, culturation has happened, and Chinese, you do see Chinese wearing white in their weddings already, because they have adapted the symbolism of white being pure and innocent, and that's why they don't view it so much as giving a bad omen anymore. And they accepted wearing white for their wedding photo shoot and during their wedding, even though it's often condemned by the older generation. But the newer generation have achieved acculturation. So we'll move on to the next presenter.
Next, I will be talking about the similarity and differences of death ritual between both Chinese and Western culture. In Chinese culture, death rituals or funeral is acted as a farewell ceremony that allowed the living to express their last respect to the deceased, so that the deceased can leave the world with scenery. The historical evolution of death ritual can be tracing back to Shang dynasty, in which Chinese people believed that when people passed away, his or her soul would continue living in another world. The post-death life condition depends on the descendants' effort in providing food, clothes, and money. So by providing those sacrifices, the soul would feel happy and willing to bring good fortune and abundance to its descendants. Death ritual in Chinese culture usually divided into three phases, which are preparation, wake service, and funeral. Preparation stage begin by the purchase of coffin by the descendants to deceased, and the deceased will then lay in the coffin with burial shirt after body cleaning and makeup by a higher mortician. The wake service takes place either at home or funeral parlor, and the practice of keeping mergy is still practiced until today, aimed to prevent the evil spirit from invading the deceased. Prayer will be guided by either priest for Taoism or monk for Buddhists, together with their percussion music. It is believed that Taoist priests are able to perform rituals that takes the deceased afterlife and save the soul of deceased from getting harmed by evil spirits, while Buddhist monks are able to assist the deceased with their journey through hell and reach heaven. Besides that, fake paper money and other miniature made by just paper will be burned to ensure the ability of deceased to enjoy in the spiritual world. During the wake service, white envelope that filled with money will be given to the family members of the deceased upon a few reasons. First, as a sign of condolence. Second, for the coverage of funeral expenses. And third, for future expenses on worship material. To ensure the favor, to return the favor, visitors are given candies and they are expected to eat them instantly as a sign of fend off any evil spirit. Evil spirit. During the day of funeral, the procession contains loud music that aim to warn off other spirits will be played by the professional with mourning family walking behind a hearse with a picture of deceased on the wine sheaf all the way to graveyard. Lastly, the body of deceased will be either buried or cremated. In Western culture, they view death ritual as a process that helps the deceased to shift into a new life and provide an opportunity for those who are grieving to connect to social support. The ancient history of Western rituals can be traced back to Roman and Greek era, in which people attempt to immortalize death by using memory. In Roman era, people would make arrangements for their own funeral when they are still alive, while in Greek era, the preparation of funeral was the application of family members of the deceased. Preparation stage begin where deceased body is cleaned and dressed before placing it into a coffin with hand crossed over above the chest. In contrast to Chinese culture, the wake service of Western culture is take place only at church, which involves the conduction of prayer, reading of Bible, hymns, and eulogy. During the funeral, since Christianity believes about resurrection, they may prefer burial over cremation, in which might interfere with resurrection. And the reception, where food and beverages are prepared by the host family members, mark the end of the funeral. Next, I would like to conclude death ritual with the similarity between both culture. First, both culture believe that those who are deaf will be continue living in another spiritual world. Second, is the preparation of coffin and the performance of cleaning and dressing of deceased body before placing it into a coffin. Third is the conduction of prayer that are guided by religion priests so that the soul of the deceased can reach the spiritual world more faster. And lastly is the adoption of burial method.
So last but not least is the worship ritual. So worship is actually a complex term as every culture they have their own distinct understanding and interpretation of what worship ritual is. Let's first have a look on what Chinese perceive worship as. So analyzing the Chinese worship can run the risk of oversimplifying because during ancient China, worship can be devoted to many elements, for example, spirit or soul, the natural, the deities, the ancestor of one's family, and the extinct individuals, for example, Emperor Qin Shi Huang or Confucius. But out of all these worship ritual, ancestor worship is considered the most important, and ancestor worship is defined as the custom of venerating deceased ancestors who are considered still a part of the family and whose spirits are believed to have the power to intervene in the affairs of the living. This ancestor worship ritual is bound by values of Confucianism, which deeply emphasize the value of honoring the family, and filial piety, which is to ask individuals to reciprocate the care parents have given. So the earliest historical evidence of Chinese ancestor worship can be found in the lines recorded on the oracle bones, which can be traced back to the late Shang dynasty. So it was said that worship ritual have the same principle as funeral ritual because due to the belief that individual believe the deceased ancestor will continue to exist and live in another world, and it's the living responsibility to take care and to serve the deceased so that they will be blessed with good fortune and good life. As for the process, usually ancestor worship is conducted on significant dates. For example, the birthday and the anniversary day that an individual passed away, Qingming festival, which is a day where the living will attend to crematorium or graveyard to pay respect, and also Hungry Ghost Festival, which is also known as 中元节 or 中元 Festival. So in worship ritual, it often involves shrines and sacrifices. So shrine is the tablet which is usually located on the altar, where it's believed to be the connection point which connect the living world and the deceased world. So usually you will see the Chinese will express or utter some words in front of the shrines. Sacrifices or offerings such as food or fruits will be placed. Usually we will prepare the types of food that the deceased ancestor like, and also joss stick and joss paper will be burnt. Joss paper can be in many forms. Can be in money, can be in any other models of the daily product, for example, phone. I have even seen some people, they burn the model of petrol station. Meanwhile, in the Western culture, it's rather simple. It can be a simple action, devotion, or expressions to the god, or attending religious activities. As all know that Christianity plays a very dominant role in Western culture, so worship can also be referred to every single chance an individual has to connect with the glory of the god through speaking, thinking, or acting from a Christianity perspective. For the historical evidence, it can be mainly traced back to the Jewish roots, so their process, their conduction is more or less similar. As for the process, as far as I know, that there is no specific order or procedure on how Christianity worship or the Western worship is conducted, but mainly there are two events. One is the communion, where bread and wine are shared, and baptism, an event where individuals are immersed in or sprinkled with water, symbolizing purification, and are given admission into the Christianity. So, like I say, there are various activities which will be conducted, but there's no specific order, including liturgy, Bible or scripture readings, lighting of candles, prayers, confession of sins, and also playing of worship music. As for the similarity, both culture actually has an expression of respect to the power, but in Chinese culture, it's towards the ancestor more. For Western culture, it's the Almighty God, and in both involve foods and also as a way to connect with another world. So coming to the end of the presentation, we can see that culture is an essential element in keeping a civilization survive. So there's a saying goes, if you want to understand a man, you should first understand his background. Just like studying the history tells you where one's originate, the culture actually provide meaning on humans' behavior, so why people behave the way they do, and also human existence. From this presentation, we can see that different ritual practices should be respected, and also uniqueness of each culture should be cherished as well. This is very important because all individuals from different cultural background, they should come together to create a positive and harmony social environment despite the existence of individual and cultural differences. So that's all from us. Thank you.